Hi everyone, it's always a great joy to be able to come to your homes through this way of online teaching. My name is Daud and today I want to talk to you about the poem Maps, written by Dorothy Brown Thompson. So you must have studied in geography about earth, land, soil and maps. So is it just a piece of paper or is it a ticket for an adventure trip? Let's find out in the poem written by Dorothy Brown Thompson. High adventure and bright dream, maps are mightier than they seem. In this stanza, we understand that this map is mightier than it appears to be. It may look like a thin paper with a diagram on it, but it is mightier, it is stronger than it appears to be. You know, we can imagine, we can travel all around the world in our imagination with the use of this map. We can feel and imagine the excitement, thrilling adventures, beautiful mountains, and attractive cities and cool islands. We can imagine it all, we can feel it all, you know. We can go to Brazil, we can be in United States of America. This is a world map, you know. There are many other types of maps, you know, you can see, and when you look into them, you can imagine a lot of things and you can travel all around the world in your imagination. So maps are mightier than they seem. Ships that follow leaning stars, red and gold of strange bazaars. Through these lines of poem, we understand that maps also help ships. How do they help? You know, sailors, they use maps. They have maps to guide their ships. You know about sailors? I'm sure you know about sailors. Sinbad the sailor, Popeye the sailor. These are all sailors, those, you know, who sail ships. So they use maps to guide their ships. And you might be thinking what they used to use when maps were not there. They used to rely, they used to depend upon stars. And it is true, and it's interesting, it's amazing. But they used to rely on stars. How they used to do it, that's a different story, not for today. But these days, they rely on maps to guide their ships. And you can also, you know, red and gold of strange bazaars. You can be in the strange markets and you can visit markets in your imagination, markets of Turkey, markets of other countries, markets, Chandni Chowk Market, Delhi, just in your imagination if you have a map with you. Ice flows hid beyond all knowing, plains that ride where winds are blowing. Through these lines of poem, we learn and understand that maps also inform us, maps also warn us about the icebergs. You know, icebergs are huge. You know, they are like mountains and they are very hard. And once a ship, you know, or a ship, you know, collides with it, it can be destroyed. So they also warn us about the icebergs, because these days in some maps, icebergs are also mentioned. Icebergs are also there. On this route there is an iceberg, you should not take this route. On that route is clear, you should take that one. So that's how, and that is the other way, that is one of the other ways that map helps us. Planes that ride where winds are blowing. Even pilots, when they fly their aeroplanes, they fly their aeroplanes with the help of maps. So maps are very important these days, and in this poem we are trying to understand the importance of maps. Train maps, maps of wind and weather, road maps taken all together. In this stanza, we understand about the various kinds of maps. There can be many types of maps. Train maps, Maps of wind and weather. It sounds interesting, it sounds amazing, but it is indeed true that these days we have maps of wind and weather also. Road maps taken all together. Road maps, you know, for roadways, train maps for railways, for maps for airways, and maps for wind and weather. So there are so many types of maps these days, and maps are wonderful. Maps are really magic wands for home-staying vagabonds. So we can say this, that maps are like magic wands for those who are home-staying vagabonds. All right, magic wands. Maps work like a magical stick for those, you know, who like to travel a lot, who like to wander around, who like to roam around. It can really work as a magic wand. How? I have this map with me, and I am a wanderer. I'm a wanderer, and I like to wander around. So if I have this map with me, right now I'm thinking I am in Nigeria, I am in North Atlantic Ocean, now I'm in Turkey. Oh my God, Turkey looks very beautiful. Istanbul, all right. Then I'm traveling here and there. So it works. If I'm a homestaying vagabond, it works like a magic wand for me. So this is it with this poem. Now we will proceed with the question and answers. Ready, set, let's revise. Question number 1, high adventure and bright dream, maps are mightier than they seem. Name the poem and poet. So this is the first stanza of our poem. High adventure and bright dream, maps are mightier than they seem. The question is, we have been asked to name the poem and poet. So the name of the poem is, right, Maps. And this poem has been written by Dorothy Brown Thompson. So the name of the poet is Dorothy Brown Thompson. Maps are mightier than they seem. This line suggests that maps do not seem very mighty at first. Why should that be? So here is this question that when you look at a map first, you do not find it mighty. Here the word mighty means strong. When you look at a map, you do not find it mighty. And why does that happen? Because you may think that it's just a piece of paper, but there is always something more to it. The answer is, maps may not seem very mighty at first because a map just looks like a piece of paper with some lines drawn and some names written on it. So this is why this line has been said, that maps are mightier than they seem, because maps are not just pieces of papers with diagrams on them. They're more important. Then we have this question here, how are maps related to high adventure and bright dream? How are maps related? What is the relation between maps and high adventure and bright dream according to this poem? Let's find out the answer. Maps help us plan and go on exciting adventures. They make us feel fascinated about every place we can travel to and discover. That is how they are related to high adventure and bright dream. You know, I have not traveled all around the world practically, but I have a map at my home, and when I look at it, I imagine different countries and different places and islands and deserts, and that way I am able to feel the adventure and excitement. That is how maps are related to high adventure and bright dream. We can fulfill our dreams of traveling and feeling excitement of adventure trips. We can fulfill all these dreams with the help of a map. That is how. Short question answer. Ready, set, let's revise. What are some of the things that maps bring to the speaker's mind? So there are some things that come to the mind of the speaker, that come to the mind of the poet. What are those things? Let's find out in the answer. Maps remind the speaker of ships, stars, markets, ice floes, and aeroplanes. So these are the things that come to the mind of the speaker. These are the things that come to the poet's mind. Ships, stars, markets, ice floes, and aeroplanes. And these things are mentioned in the poem also. Question number 2. What are the different kinds of maps that the speaker mentions? So there are different kinds of maps that the speaker has mentioned, that the poet has mentioned in the poem. And what are those maps? What are those kinds? What are those different kinds of map? We will find out in the answer. The speaker mentions train maps, maps of wind and weather, and road maps. Train maps that guide the loco pilots to, they help loco pilots to guide the trains, maps of wind and weather, and road maps for road travels. So these are the different kinds of maps that speaker has mentioned in the poem. And we have question number 3 here. How can someone be homestaying and a vagabond at the same time? This sounds like a very interesting question. The meaning of the word vagabond is a person who keeps wandering around, who keeps traveling. And how can someone be homestaying and a vagabond at the same time? How can you be at home and how can you travel? How can you do both at the same time? Let's find out the answer. A person who stays at home can be a vagabond. He or she can travel to different places by reading about and imagining different places. Imagination is a powerful thing, children. In one's imagination, one can move from markets to ice floes, ships to aeroplanes in a matter of seconds, all the while sitting at home, and maps can help to do that. I'm sitting at home and I'm imagining I'm in a flight. If I have a map, I'm thinking. Alright, so a person who stays at home, with the help of his imagination, he can be homestaying and a vagabond at the same time. Long answer question. Question number 1. Why have maps been called magic wands? Why we have called maps as magic wands in the poem? Why the poet has done this? Let's find out the answer of this question. Maps have been called magic wands because they seem to have a magical power. It looks like that maps have a magical power. Maps are magical power, similar to magic wands. Just like magic wands. Magic wands are magical sticks that do magic. Magic wands can easily transport us elsewhere or change one thing into another. Maps can help us imagine different places so well that it feels as if we are there, and they can make ordinary things like ice and markets feel wonderful and exciting because they are far away and unknown. So this is it for today. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you very soon again. God bless you.